Hello friends, this is Wilson at the Neutral Access Club. Today we're answering a question from the civil engineering community on Reddit from an engineer who wants to pivot from the construction industry into the design industry. So if you're an engineer who is working in construction and want to pursue a path to become a professional engineer and eventually make it to the design industry, then this video is for you. Here is a question that I found inspiration from. It was about 20 days ago, and the engineer asked, after graduation, I started as a field engineer for a large GC or general contractor. At the time, the position set me up in the city I most wanted to live and allowed me to work on interesting, large industrial projects. After 4 years in the construction management role, I realized that I'm at disadvantage for not going after my PE or professional engineering license. During COVID, many of our mid-level managers without any professional license were laid off. I have recently passed the FE and registered as an EIT in my state or engineer in training. Has anyone else made the switch from construction management to a PE path? What advice do you have for someone trying to make this switch? All right, I see some comments in there. It's difficult, maybe, yes. You're essentially making a lateral move, all right? Why do you think you're at a disadvantage? Because you don't have your PE? Yeah, fair point. I think it depends on where you start in construction or not. Yeah, it's not really clear from the question. So let's go over this. So this is an engineer who is a field engineer in construction and wants to pursue the PE license track. They want to become a professional engineer and are looking for advice on how to do so. And if you are in this same position, the first thing we're going to discuss is whether you need a PE license or not. From the question, it's not clear whether the engineer wants to stay in construction and still pursue a path to become a professional engineer. However, pursuing a PE license and staying in the construction industry is not a common career path because a PE license may not be necessary. This is something that my dear co-host and I discussed in episode 9 of Finding the Neutral Access podcast, titled Finding the PE License in the Construction Industry, link down below. So go ahead and listen to this episode to learn about the PE license and other certifications for career advancement in the construction industry. Yes, that was a shameless plug. Going back to the engineer's question, has anyone made the switch from construction management to a PE path? What advice do you have for someone trying to make this switch? The first thing I'm going to say is that if you are in this position, you are not at a disadvantage. Sure, that is one way of looking at things if you are in the construction industry and want to get a job in a design industry because you don't have any design experience. And this is something that we humans naturally do when we want a potential change for our careers or our personal lives. We think of all the things that could play against us or the things that we lack and let them take over us. However, it's far more efficient to focus on what we can offer. If you are in this same position, my number one piece of advice is to play to your strengths, not your weaknesses. This is something that my friend Ben Preston discusses in his book, Harness Your Butterflies, a young professional's metaphors to an exciting career, where he mentions that it's far more efficient to focus on our strengths because they define us. He puts as a reference well-known leaders such as Steve Jobs and Oprah Winfrey, who are well known for their strengths as marketers, good leaders, and communicators. They are not known for their weaknesses. If you are an engineer who is in construction, what are your strengths? One of the things that engineers working in design and consulting industry struggle with is visualizing how their design will look in a construction site. And I know this firsthand because I was one of those engineers. It was challenging for me to visualize how my design would translate into construction and whether my design was buildable. And what happens is that oftentimes designers would not anticipate any conflicts or issues that would arise in a construction site due to their lack of construction experience. So the contractor will submit an R5 asking for a resolution or proposing a resolution for these same conflicts and issues, which tend to delay the project in terms of schedule and even cost more money to the owner. So when I'm speaking of strengths that you have as an engineer in construction going into a PE path, your construction experience is your number one strength. You have experience reading construction documents, you know how many of these conflicts and issues that arise on a construction site, and you also know how things come in together for a complete project. With your construction experience, you already have exposure to these conflicts and issues, so you can leverage that construction experience as a way to anticipate any potential conflicts ahead of time to make sure that your design does not cause any blockers on site. Being able to visualize how your design would translate on a construction site will allow you to better plan and coordinate your drawings with other parties in the project, and also reduce the amount of RFIs that you get during the construction phase of the project. On the other hand, a lack of construction experience is something that plays against engineers who have been in the design industry their entire lives, especially if they want to pursue path in the management or into more senior roles in the organizations, which is actually you already have. And that is exactly what you need to market if you come across a hiring manager or an interviewer for a job in the design industry, and make sure that you highlight those skills in your resume. There's a chance that you have a steep learning curve as you start in the design industry, especially learning how things are done in such industry. But the truth is, even if you have some design experience, you will still face a steep learning curve when you are joining a new engineering firm. You will still have to learn new software, learn new design standards and ways of coordinating work, which changes from engineering firm to engineering firm. So your lack of construction experience will not be necessarily seen as something negative. In fact, hiring managers will see that as an opportunity to bring that experience into their team, especially if there's a gap in construction experience. Something I recommend is that you start getting design experience immediately. I am sure as you onboard this journey to become a professional engineer and you study for the PE exam, you will come across many of the design concepts that you will be using in the design environment, but nothing beats practical experience. To become a professional engineer, you need to work for a certain number of years under the supervision of a professional engineer, so you need to start building on that experience as soon as possible. This will boost up your confidence in engineering design that you can leverage if you want to one day own your engineering firm or move up the ladder into more management and senior roles in the design industry. To start getting that design experience, what you want to do is get some sort of transitioning job, perhaps in an industry that works closely with a contractor, such as companies that perform delegated design work, design of temporary structures or formwork. And that way you can build up on that design experience and other skills that will make you successful in the design industry. Aside from that, I think that nothing beats a great attitude. While you may go through a steep learning curve at the beginning, if you are proactive and show that you're willing to learn and put in the work, I'm pretty sure that any company will put their trust in you. And even if they don't see the value that you can bring in, the worst thing that they can say is no. So keep your head up, continue working towards that desire to become a professional engineer, and don't let anyone tell you what you can do and what you cannot do. Only you can make that choice. That's it for this video. I would love to hear if you have any feedback for this engineer in construction wanting to become a professional engineer. And if you do, please make sure you leave a comment down below. Please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe to the New Tracks Club for all the similar content. Thank you for watching. See you next time.